Hey, my name is Tim Daniel, and welcome to a fantastic edition of Late Night Reds, brought to you by the Riverfront. Folks, it is my birthday episode. Well, my birthday is tomorrow, but so we're celebrating my birthday a night early.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm joined by my good friend, as you can see now, a three-time co-host.
I was going to say, is this like Saturday Night Live where I start getting stars and I can be,
Yeah,
start being I like that. I like that 3 time. I like that.
I absolutely love it. Man, this was pretty wild. So I'm so excited to have been here. What a fun week. So much to talk about this week's episode. Yeah, I like that. Sorry, Corbin Carroll, but the rookie team of the year goes to the Reds. He he did go deep today. It was I witnessed it. He's very impressive at the
Yeah.
baseball game.
Yeah.
But I do love that comment from Scott. But first, guys, hey, we got a little corporate here at the Riverfront. So we now are part of a nice affiliation. And this week's episode is brought to you by our friends at SeatGeek.
Love SeatGeek.
Dude, bought Kiss tickets for the October show in Cincinnati off SeatGeek before this came up.
Oh yeah.
So, hey, SeatGeek makes it pretty quick and easy. Takes all the confusion out of ticket sales, right? Very simple. You go on there, it gives you a 0 to 10 score on each ticket to know if you're getting a good deal or bad. If you understand stop signs, green means good, red means bad, obviously. Or in this case, green means go, red means stop, don't do it. So SeatGeek is now good friends of the Riverfront, so much that if you haven't used it yet, our users can get $20 off their first purchase with the code Riverfront, all one word. I will tell you, if you haven't used it yet and you're planning to use it, keep an eye out for a certain event coming up. We have discussions right now that we are putting together. So, yes, Riverfront is the place to be. We'll drink to that. Happy birthday to me.
Absolutely.
The Redlegs,
Happy
5
birthday,
straight wins, leading in the wild card. Pretty fun.
Yeah, dude, it is. It's a fun time, man. It's a fun time. It's I don't even know like how to put it into words, and I know we'll go into this later, but and I think I posted it the other day, win or lose, gosh, this team is just fun. They're just a fun team to root for, a fun team to be around. The excitement they have for one another, it's just super dope. It's just awesome.
Thank you, Branch. I appreciate you. Shout out, Scott. I appreciate you as well. Yeah, it's super crazy, man. So a couple weeks ago on the Riverfront, the home show, see Chad, look at that Ultra Company, man. By the way, I got to be I'm now a part of the Chad Substack. So I posted my recap of TBT last night where the University of Cincinnati Bearcats won the national championship. I mean, won an alumni basketball game. So check that out on Chad's Substack. I got to give a recap of the game. I had a lot of fun, but UC fans, you would have thought, oh my God, I had to call Ben at 11:30 last night and be like, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah, it's very rare I get a text from Timmy D at 10:30 at night. He's like, "Oh, do you have time to talk?" I'm like, for you, absolutely. Like, what's going on? What's that? He goes, UC fans, out of control.
Yeah,
out of control.
What up, Pat? Pat Magooch in the building?
Hey, yes, sir.
All right, so let's talk about. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get into the week before this gets off the hinges here. Obviously, everyone's deflated. Come back from the All-Star break, they get swept by the Brewers. It wasn't fun, but they managed to put together. They have the Giants come into town, and they lose that first game to suspended. And then they pick up the second game that night, and that's a freaking fun game. I know they lose, but the offense was like sputtering, and they go out there and score 10 runs. And man, that game was a blast. And Encarnacion Strain hits his first homer. We're gonna dive into him a little later. Joey hits his 350th. Obviously, a really cool moment.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, Willie Stinkin' Beeman, man, Will Benson. So he was on Jim Day on. I don't know if you listen to Jim Day's podcast ever.
Mm-hmm.
But he was on there Monday and was just an awesome interview. Just like such a cool dude, like such an easy guy to root for, obviously. Um, just loved it. Loved the interview. It talks about like going through the struggles of when he first got called up and when he goes down to go to Pat Kelly and he's like, I need to go back up. I need to go. And he's like, relax, you're gonna get there. So that was really
Mhm.
fun and kind of dove into that. But yeah, he comes out, he hits a huge, I mean, the game-winning home run in that game.
Absolutely.
And Graham Ashcraft, just tremendous. And Thursday, dude, Andrew freaking Abbott. Oh my God. 8 innings pitched of 1-run ball. I mean, 1 hit ball. It was a 1-run game, but that was in the 9th when he was out because Wilmer Flores was like, fine, I'm just going to hit one more home run off you guys for you.
Right. Before we get out of here.
Yeah. Christian Yelich, Wilmer Flores, and Ketel Marte just had like the best time ever in this homestand at GABP.
Yeah. They love it. They love Great American.
Yeah. And so Abbott was unreal. Just so good. And then Friday, dude, another pretty decent game. I know Arizona's been slumping a little bit, but they're a good baseball team.
They're a very good baseball team.
And Matt McLean hits a grand slam. Saturday, they go back to back between Freedom McLean and Fraley. And then today, Ellie leads the game off with a homer. And I have to go out and call out some of the guys in our Riverfront Slack because Nick Senzel's obviously got like it coming out there, and people are like, why is he in this game? He can't hit lefties. They're talking all that Nick Senzel smoke.
Mm-hmm.
What's Nick Senzel do, folks? What did he do today? Tell me. What did Nick Senzel do at GABP this afternoon besides the ground into a double play, which he was safe, by the way? I'm standing by that.
Yeah.
He just smoked a tater. Just smoked a tater like Branch Brown does on his grill. That's what he did. You feel me? It was awesome. And, you know, just felt good. Like the Ellie leadoff home run. So I was standing up, you know, like when you're on the far end of the ballpark in the 500s, and it's like you're next to like where they have the swings and like the child's play area and stuff. I was standing like there by the seats, and my wife and so Grace Nyers come to get me and be like, hey, let's go to our seats now because she was taking care of the baby. And as I'm like standing there, you can see Ellie's ball in the air. And I'm sure on TV it was like a no doubter, but like watching it in the air, seeing how high it went and how fast it went, I was like, wow, that's insane. So that was pretty crazy. But man, just like I was so impressed with the fact that like even Monday after they lose that Giants game, Tuesday technically,
right.
you know, it's like a thing where people are like waiting. So Chad and Nate talked about this week on their show. People were just waiting to be like, well, we told you, like, they're not for real. Like, it was a lucky run. This was nice while it lasted. It's 2014 all over again when they choke out of the All-Star break. And they were just like, all right, we'll just put 10 runs up in a game. It's like, well, you lost that one too. Your pitching, who's been holding you up all year on the bullpen, they fell apart. And it's like, all right, fine. We'll just win tomorrow and go out there and win these games. And, man, so, okay, I have to get this in real quick that I talked to you about, and I texted this to Chad earlier. So there's some conversation about Blues Traveler between Pat and Chad right now in the chat. Okay. And August 18th. So, you know, we're trying to put a huge event together for our Riverfront listeners, something we're really excited about. Details to come. I noticed today we should have done it on August 18th against the Blue Jays because it's Yacht Rock concert night at the stadium. They're giving out a Yacht Rock Reds hat.
Oh,
and we're the Riverfront,
bro.
We need a marketing team.
Yeah, I know. We talked about this prior to coming on air, but there's nothing like Yacht Rock. Like there's nothing like the sounds of crisscross sailing, like you said. There's nothing like a good rot yacht going on in a Reds game. And like you said, you're the Riverfront.
Yeah,
Yacht Rock, Riverfront, hand in hand. Somebody's missing something. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, we could have been like over there, like watching the Reds beat the Blue Jays and like seeing like Alexis Diaz strike out Bo Bichette and just being like, sailing takes me away.
Yep.
Yeah. See,
could have shut it down.
Would have been perfect. I guess we couldn't get the box. They couldn't get the boat though. Other places do that apparently, from what I hear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But dude, so look, what a fun week. You know, like we said, like this was a team that everyone was waiting to count them out. and
Yeah.
they were like, "No, we told you, we still got this." And
Yeah. Yep. No,
go
I
ahead.
agree. Yeah. It's here's the cool thing about it, man, is that, and we've talked about this before, the youthful energy. They're too naive to know the difference. Like
I
they're
was gonna
young
bring this
guys.
up.
You know what I mean? They're young guys. They're hungry. They're in the they're playing Major League Baseball. They are too they're too unaware of slumps and streaks. They just want to play ball. Like they just want to play ball. Whether they win 10-11, whether they lose 10-11, whether it's a one-run game or it's a back-to-backs or grand slams, these guys just want to win. And to an extent, that is the cool part about it. Like these guys are coming in mostly rookies, mostly just caught up this year, and they don't listen to the static. They're not listening to the noise. They're not listening to the All-Star break slump stuff. They don't listen to none of that stuff. All they're like, dude, we just want to go out, win game by game, piece by piece, and it doesn't matter who it is. It could be Votto one night, it could be Will Benson one night, it could be Senzel, it could be McLean, it could be Ellie. They all complement one another, and that's been the coolest part about all of it, man. Is that those guys have been incredible, and they're just playing to win baseball games, and they don't get caught up in the ups and downs. They're young to not know, but they're mature to know the difference, which is crazy, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, Chad said that we need more of you on the riverfront.
Yeah, I appreciate Chad.
As Ben's tax guy. By the way, Chad, you have the power to do this. This is kind of your baby. But as Ben's tax guy, you're gonna have to send the W-9 to him just so I
Hey.
can make sure that everything is lined up.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, but you mentioned the two and everyone kind of agreed. Too naive to know the difference is like the best way to describe it, because it is just like we're just dudes having fun in this brand new experience, and we're really good. Like we're really talented dudes.
Man, like you look out there on the field, like I was looking at this the other day when I was watching. It's crazy to me. Has there ever been a team, Tim, and you've watched a ton of baseball, and you've watched a ton of Reds baseball, where you look across, the guy playing first is a rookie, guy playing second's a rookie, guy playing short's a rookie, the guy playing third's a rookie, the guy playing center's a rookie. All these guys are first-year call-ups or late last year first-year call-ups, and are major contributors to a team right now that's winning the wild card and a half game out of first place. I've never seen anything like of course, you've seen one or two rookies come in and have years, or one or two rookies come have an impact. But like you look at like guys like Andrew Abbott, you look at guys like McLean, Ellie, Steer, like all these guys are ECS. They all came in. They're all rookies. Like, have you ever seen this kind of impact from a rookie, like a rookie group that came in and they are not supposed to be where they are, but have battled this whole year. Like I've never seen a group of this many rookies have this kind of impact and it be this sustained.
Yeah, like you've seen groups of young guys, right? Like, I mean, the Reds are a perfect example. The Bruce, Votto, Phillips, Stubbs, Cueto teams were like, they all kind of came up in a time frame, but it wasn't like, okay, Matt McLean's up this week, Ellie's going to be up in 3 weeks, Christian Carlos Sustran's going to be up a month after that, Andrew Abbott's going to get a couple starts because Nick Lodolo's hurt. Like, it was like, okay, so Homer Bailey comes up in 07, Joey comes up at the end of 07. Drew Stubbs comes up in 09. Jay Bruce comes up in 08. Like Cueto's up in 07. They traded for Volquez. Ryan Hannigan, who, I'm not going to go here and talk like he was like a world beater offensively, but like, there were very few guys in that time you wanted more behind the plate as a pitcher than Ryan Hannigan. And you're starting to see that now. And like, what makes that so unique here? And like, look, we're joking about the Blue Jays and that whole series coming up in August. Yacht Rock Night by the riverfront, by the way.
Man.
Where like Bo, Vlad Jr., Caven, like those dudes all came up relatively close to each other, but not this close, right? And I think that's what's kind of really cool about it is like, so there was it Friday? think it was Friday. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It might have been earlier in the week, but the Reds socials posted a picture on Twitter. It was like the all rookie infield because it was the game India was DHing. So it was like Strand at first, McLean, Ellie, and Steer all in the infield. And it was like, that's freaking wild because like the machine, we brag about the machine. Like the machine is like it's our 96 Chicago Bulls, right?
Absolutely.
Like that is our like,
absolutely.
But that wasn't even like they were young together and grew up together, but it wasn't like within a few weeks those guys came up.
Yeah.
So
no, it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, it's so awesome. And like, so I saw a stat that popped up today that ESPN Sports shared, and this is kind of just tells you everything you need to know about this team with your comment. So let me see if I can find it again. They were talking about, I guess, so Luke Weaver's ERA in his last 10 starts is like 8.79.
Mm.
8.79 in his last 10 starts, and the Reds are 9-1 in those games. I've never seen anything like that.
No, not at all. That's insane.
Yeah, and
that's insane.
Yeah, that's a conversation. So,
yeah,
we got, with all the good we're talking about today, David Bell got very lucky that they won that game.
Yeah,
because Luke Weaver did look pretty good for the first two runs of the order. But when Corbin Carroll came up with 2 runners on, that was as predictable as it gets.
Here, Tim, I'm going to hear. This is a story. This is what was happening today. So, myself and my wife went to a young man's graduation party.
Mm-hmm.
We were there. Of course, everybody's watching the Reds game. We're all hanging out. They got runners on, and I kid you not, I looked at a buddy of mine that was right next to me. I said, "Oh, I'm like, this is going to be a big inning for the Brewers, or this is going to be a big inning for Diamondbacks." And then Corbin Carroll came up, smashed the ball. I was like, "Here you go." I said, like you said, it was so predictable. Once you go, dude, unless you are a guy that has multiple years of experience and craftiness, it's hard to get through a good lineup like that. Multiple times. So once he got to that third time around and they started knocking him around, like you said, it could have got really ugly because he waited to pull the trigger just a little bit too late. But
Pat saying, "I wish you would have got ejected so I could have called him Carol the Karen." That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Branch has an Oppenheimer reference here. I didn't see Oppenheimer. I saw Barbie this weekend. I didn't see Oppenheimer.
Oh, you saw? That's a side note. How was Barbie?
Fantastic. So fun.
Okay.
So fun. Okay. We went to the drive-in in Amelia so we could take Iris.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it was great.
Good deal.
It was great. So, yeah, that was awesome. Great week for them to kind of find the ways to do things and find the ways to win and come back from a tough stretch with the Brewers. One thing I really want to talk about, by the way, so kind of one of this next segment here. So the starting pitching is kind of starting to pick up some steam and pitch really well right now. And I wanted to highlight a couple guys here, particularly because, we talk about Andrew Abbott all the time. Green and Lodolo, we know they're on the way back. Luke Weaver is there. But like Nate said a couple weeks ago, teams of destinies win games when Luke Weaver pitches. And this team wins when Luke Weaver pitches. But I want to talk about Brandon Williamson, Ben Lively, and Graham Ashcraft and what they've been able to do from their struggles early in the year. Brandon Williamson, it was like after that game in Baltimore with the rainout, was like, it's like all of a sudden he like goes and pitches the 4th of July against the Nationals and gets pulled early because there were some issues with the weather. And then like since then it's been unbelievable. Like yesterday he was awesome. He was freaking good. He gave them a chance to win on back-to-back home runs. Graham Ashcraft, who look like we were all kind of worried, right? Like when he came back, when he got hurt, like he went on the IL. He has a first start back against Atlanta. Look, a lot of pitchers are going to get knocked around by the Braves.
Yeah, Atlanta's Atlanta, man. Yeah. That's a hard team to come back against.
But man, bounce back, has pitched really well since the break. And Ben Lively, who I know compared to the other two, That's a 4.15 ERA, 8 2/3 with 4 earned runs. But the caveat of Sunday, he gets pulled because he has they're worried about injury. And then Friday, Will Benson misjudges a ball and they pull him right after that, or else he goes 5 innings. That leads to a run. But, the Ben Lively story is incredible, right? This is a guy who was out of the big leagues for 4 years. Like, it's the ultimate. It's better than the rookie, all right?
Yeah.
So I know that Dennis Quaid is too old to play Ben Lively in a movie, but I don't know. Could like Bradley Cooper play Ben Lively?
Oh,
I know
yeah.
I think he's a little older, but like he looks like he's like
But he
27.
looks young. Right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think Lively's looked really good. I know he gets lucky a lot if you look at like the stuff, but I think he's been awesome. But Brandon Williamson, man, so he comes out in that Colorado game, and you're like, oh god, big league debut against the Rockies. You're like, that's scary. That Orioles game, like we talked about, like, the rain is coming down, like it's like a monsoon, and he's out there trying to throw pitches.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. And like since then has just been awesome. And seeing Graham Ashcraft come back. So, the big conversation is obviously this team needs a starter. And look, I still stand by that. Like I know Green and Lodolo are coming back. I should say hopefully. Looks like Hunter Green's going to start to throw from a mound again, and he should be back in August. Lodolo, they're not 1,000% certain. But, with what these three are giving them, and Luke Weaver, they win when Luke Weaver pitches. There's that. But it's unbelievable, man. Like Brandon Williamson, it's very rare you see a guy who looks much better in the big leagues than he did in the minors, because you're supposed to dominate minors talent to get to the big leagues.
Right.
And like all these struggles, you're like, well, he walks guys. He can't locate his pitches. Like this, and this. He comes up here and it's like, I just strike people out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's there's a certain learning curve for Major League Baseball pitching. And we saw this, and we talked about this before with Hunter Green and Lodolo both. Like there's a certain comfort level when you are a major league pitcher as to how your growth is going to go. So, speaking of Williamson, like we're talking about him, like there are certain things that you got to go through in a process in order to be successful as a major league pitcher. I know that those guys are going to struggle at some point.
Yeah.
However, they are still learning to pitch to major league pitching. And that's why, like, even with Lively, like that doesn't really concern me. I mean, it concerns me, but it doesn't, because guys are learning. But I think overall, these guys are pitching at a level it's sustainability, right? So we know Hunter Green's coming back, hopefully. Lodolo's coming back, hopefully. Abbott has been incredible. So you're
ridiculous.
Yeah. So, but you're once again, it's like home. It's your own homegrown talent. It's your guys that are going to battle every night against good teams. Like it's not like they're pitching against scrubs. I mean, these are good professional baseball teams. So they're going to get knocked around some, but our lineup is so. Our lineup is so good that you can afford to have a 4 to 6 point ERA and still win games. You know what I mean? So they're gonna. We don't have Glavin, Smoltz, but we have guys that are consistent. They're getting guys out. They're getting good outs, and then we have middle relievers and the world's best closer to close games out. So as long as they can give you 4 to 6 good innings of 2-run, 3-run baseball, we're going to be in every game.
Yeah, and I think like in the Weaver situation, it's like just keep us within blast range, and we'll find a way. And that's like impressive, right? Because that's 97, like that's late 90s Yankees stuff right there.
Yep.
Keep us in the game because we'll score runs.
Yep.
Yeah. That the
and I think that's what those guys are doing. It's a learning curve. Also, though, that they know that if you keep us within 3 to 5 runs, anything's possible for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, there's not that pressure that you got to pitch in 1-run games all the time. So you're going to have your mistakes. You're going to have, you're going to make mistake pitches, but
Mhm.
there's not the pressure that you got to go out there and throw no hitters every time. Like there's no pressure with this lineup of having to do that. So you can go out, make mistakes, do things, and learn and become better pitchers with a lineup like we have, going out night after night.
Yeah, for sure. Scott Bergier asks a really awesome question here, and I think it's a really fair one because if the Reds do go get a starter, you got to think that after if let's say Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo comes back and they trade for a starter, that means Luke Weaver's out. Whew. I don't want anyone to lose their job, but
right,
yeah. And then they bring in let's say Dylan Cease, just for example. I don't think it's going to be Dylan Cease. I would be happy, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Brandon Williamson for the pen for long relief? So this is interesting because if you ask me, Brandon Williamson is 1,000% proof that he needs to be on the big league roster. Like, you cannot send him back to Louisville. Would he probably develop more as a starter in Louisville? Yeah, probably. But he's a guy that you can count on to get outs, right? Lefties and righties. Now, albeit, he's pitching against the Dodgers on Friday. We might be having a different conversation next week about that.
Yeah.
But he has been tremendous. And like many people are saying in the chat tonight, they need another lefty in the pen. I think Alex Young has been really, really good. He's been far better than we expected. But man, he had that rough game in San Francisco where Lucas Sims had to come in the suspended game and fix it for him. So this is I don't hate this idea because, like I said, I can't see a situation right now where you send Brandon Williamson to Louisville.
No, because winning the division and being in a wild card is all about your pitching. So you can't send a guy that's pitched that well off of your roster. Like, you have to have him somewhere.
Right.
And like you said, you need lefty arms, you need lefty relievers, and the guy has proven that he can get major league outs. So if you bring in another starter, you can move him to the pen. He can do long relief, and still be effective because he gets outs.
Yeah, I mean, bullpen days are going to happen, right? Like Arizona had 2 in this series. So that's good. And Pat makes a good point. I think Brandon Williamson's probably outpitched Lively for that last roster spot, that last rotation spot. And I love Ben Lively. I think he's tremendously fun to watch pitch. But yeah, Scott, I think that's a great question. Thank you for submitting that because it's a very fascinating conversation. My dream of Shane Bieber coming to the Reds seems like it's not going to happen now that he's gotten hurt. And the Guardians, even though the AL Central is brutal, everyone talked all this smoke about the National League Central forever, and we have 2 teams in there right now who are in playoff contention. Check it. All right. Check it. Let's talk about Christian Encarnacion Strand because this is his first week in the big leagues. And you're, of course, someone that I text daily about everything going on in my life. So his first week here, and we're gonna go into obviously how the stats look amazing for his first week, but we're gonna get into what we see from him. And look, 304, 333 on base, 435 slugging, 768 OPS. That's going to go up is what's crazy. 1 homer. That homer was looked like the easiest home run I've ever seen in my life. It looked like it was oh, you're throwing a slider away. Okay.
No, reach out and touch it.
No phase, not phase at all. Just an easy swing. 6 runs batted in. Had 2 huge ones today to kind of separate the game and give the Reds that 4-run cushion when the bases were loaded. I definitely thought he was going deep. I thought it was going to be a grand slam. I really did, but I'll take the 2 RBI there. I think he's so the stats look great. And again, Ellie's gone through, Matt McClain went through for I don't know, a day, but has gone through.
I think Matt McClain had 6 at bats, maybe that was like that, but his curve was a little quicker.
Yeah, but this is awesome. And I saw some guys earlier that he's destined to be a 4 or 5 hitter. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Man, when he is like at the plate, he spits on balls that are like, I'm not swinging at that.
Hmm.
And he makes you throw him strikes. And
Yeah.
I'm not obviously going to like go out of control and compare him to guys, but like has like a similar swing to like Pujols. Not that he's Albert Pujols. So please, no one like, that's not the clickbait conversation here.
Right.
But just that super easy, smooth, go through the strike zone.
Hmm.
It's impressive as hell. Yeah, I think he's a 4-5 hitter at the moment until he gets better in corner infield. I think he's a DH, which is not a bad thing. And this kind of leads me to another conversation we'll have after this. But what is your thoughts on this?
I think his potential, I believe, is to be a 4 or 5. Um, dude, to watch him have those good of at bats, and I said it about Matt McLean too. To have these kind of at bats as a rookie, where you're not swinging at dumb pitches, you're not swinging at pitches out of the zone, you're not chasing bad balls, your swing looks easy through the zone, you're making solid contact. Like I said, we're not saying he's going to be this way. He's going to have a struggle. Of course, people are going to adjust to him and things like that, which they're professionals. That's going to happen.
Right.
But the ease at which he makes contact, the ease of his at bats, the ease of when he makes contact on a ball, and how like his swing path and the way he goes through his process and all that stuff, like that guy he's a professional hitter, and I always noticed, which it's funny, nobody really knew about exit velocity until about 2 years ago, because that's when they started making it like a thing that everybody watched. But there's just different guys that when they hit the ball, it's just different. He's one of them. Like
Yeah.
he hits a ball, and the exit velo on those balls are just insane. Him and Ellie, like that's the path of which they're able to swing and the power that they're able to generate. Like it's just insane at what they're going to do. So I think he will have a stretch, of course, where he'll struggle, just like Ellie did.
Sure.
Like we said, just like Will Benson, Matt, like all these guys are going to struggle, but eventually he's going to figure it out. The DH is a perfect spot for him, and I think that he's going to have a lot of success.
You know what's wild is like, so they pull up their top 3 prospects hitting wise, right? They pull up their top pitching prospect.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes into the conversation we had earlier about just all this stuff that's kind of happening right now. This isn't over. This isn't like, okay, we got all our guys now. There's still people coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's reinforcements on the way. Like this isn't. It's like the Avengers Endgame, where you know what I mean.
All the circles are popping up.
All the circles start popping up.
Here comes Noel. Here comes Edwin Arroyo. And here comes Noel V. Marte.
Yep. Yeah. Like, so like it's not over. It's not over by a long shot. So that'll be the interesting thing is what is the timing for those guys? Like where does that, where do they start to fit into the plan of not only just the end of this year's roster, but we're looking future 2024 or 20, like when 2024 or 20, like when do those guys start to peek their head and start to get a taste of this? Because what you're starting to see is that youth movement that we've already talked about. But like, man, like it's gonna be like, if you guys have ever watched Voltron or Transformers or whenever those guys start to assemble and they start to come together and it becomes a machine, dude, like it's going to be insane. Like you said, it ain't over. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as the Red Farm system and what we've got in store for people.
Yeah. So I know Tyler Stevenson struggled a little bit this year and it hasn't been the season we all wanted him to have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully confident he's going to bounce back.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but 24, I think he's going to be awesome. Having an off season, they'd be like, what went wrong? I'm on this really good baseball team. Pressure's not on me because look, we went into the year thinking if India and Stevenson are really good, we have a lot to be excited about for the future. Mm-hmm. And they've been very up and down. And now it's like, is India the odd man out? And this conversation's going up, which kind of pains me because I do really like him. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get into that forever. But now it's like, okay, so Matt McClain is just like incredible. It's so awesome. Yeah, Scott makes a great point. Tyler Stevenson behind the plate this year has been awesome.
Yeah.
Has been
Yeah.
really, really good. These last few months, like you can see him, he's framing well, which I think pitch framing should be illegal. I think we need to. It's unbelievably terrible. But I think he's been so good behind the plate.
Yeah.
And I think so. If he's in a situation where it's like, hey, dude, like you're a catcher, you've got pop. Like he has shown pop lately. Hit seventh for us. We can take the pressure off you. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's so I think it's been really good. By the way, Luke Maley today, 2 hits, had a home run the
Yeah.
other day. Has local Luke earned the spot of like long-term backup catcher until someone's ready for it? Should local Luke be on the big league roster in 24?
I would think yes. I would think.
I would think so too.
He's been a solid contributor as the backup catcher. Like he's been, he's been legit. He's been legit. I think he's earned that. I think he's earned that for sure.
I'm sure he would be happy to be back on the Reds. I can't speak for him, obviously, but the fact that he's from a local high school, he played baseball at UK. Like I'm sure he'd be like, oh, you guys want to bring me back for a couple years? Like, okay, sure. Like I'm down.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd eat that up. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I saw some questions about what birthday cake I prefer, and Pat said that I look like a carrot cake guy. I won't lie, I do enjoy carrot cake, but and this might be cheating, but I am like an Cold Stone Oreos ice cream cake thing they got going on. You don't have to give that to me on my birthday. You can give that to me on a random Wednesday afternoon, and I'm gonna demolish that thing. I know I just posted this week how I lost all that weight, and I feel really good. My body feels great, but man, Oreos, ice cream, and cake. No matter how good my body is doing, how good I feel, never going away from that.
No.
Yeah, Scott says here, having Stevenson as an 8-hole hitter speaks to how deep the lineup is. Yes, like look, Will Benson has been awesome in the 9-hole, and I understand that if it's not broke, don't fix it thing. Move him up in the lineup, dude. Like, okay, between Joey Votto and Jake Fraley, he has these guys to pick their brains about the strike zone every day, and he sees the strike zone incredibly well. I am so impressed by some of the pitches he spits at and some of the pitches that he takes, and it's like, I would have swung at that. Of course, I'm not a big league pitcher, but like I would be like, I gotta swing at that, right? Like, and he's like, nope, that's a ball. It's like, where did this eye come from? It's so. I am as pro Will Benson as it gets.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I really like Will Benson a lot.
Yeah, Sid Nick makes a great point. He is like basically their second leadoff hitter. When their lineup moves around, he's on base for Ellie.
Yeah,
I actually really like Ellie the leadoff spot.
I was scared. I was going to ask. That was going to be my next question. What do you think of the move with Elliott at leading off the leadoff?
So a couple weeks ago, I asked Chad on an episode of the Riverfront, "Is he Ricky Henderson?" And I knew how ridiculous it sounded. I knew I was way ahead of my skis, especially as someone who freaking loves Ricky Henderson.
Hey, Ricky love Ricky.
Yeah. The David Cross Ricky Henderson bit, for those who haven't seen it, go and YouTube it. It's the funniest thing of all time. But I was like, is he Ricky Henderson? He's fast. He's got pop. Like all he needs is a leadoff spot. Now he's leading off. The fact that he can just like wreck a freaking game plan with the first at bat of a game, is unbelievable. Yeah, and like you said, like more at bats. Yeah, like Sid Nick makes the point of. If a ball bounces in the outfield, it's guaranteed extra bases.
Yeah.
Ball's gonna stay in the infield to be a single with Ellie De La Cruz.
Right. And I think that's one of the cool things about it. One, and the more at bats, but two, like a pitcher comes into the game, your first at bat, and you've got to be as cautious as you possibly can, because there's a guy up there that anything that hits the ground is at least a double. Infield, it's a single. And if you make a mistake, he'll hit it into the river. So like you got to come in super cautious just to start the game.
from either side of the plate.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, the conversations we're having about him are so Paul Bunyan like.
Yeah. It is. Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's freaking crazy. Yeah, Mr. Juan brings up the point of last year we had Albert Amora started games. Dude, like the lineup from opening day to now. You're
It's
talking about
great.
last
Yeah.
season, but like Will Myers, Kevin Newman, like all this stuff.
Oh my
Nixon Zell
gosh,
wasn't up.
Tim.
Hey,
That's wild.
yeah, Matt Reynolds was getting
Just
at bats for the team in April, like Pat brings up. And look,
yeah.
Matt Reynolds has kind of been raking at Louisville lately. It's kind of wild. Chucky Robinson, too. I saw a couple people talking about him when we brought up Luke Maley. Chuck, I don't know if I like Chucky Robinson. I do worry he's a 4A player, which, like Carlos talked about a few weeks ago, Stuart Fairchild, everyone needs it. I think it's a matter of time if this team does, in fact, make the playoffs. I can't imagine a situation where they still have Kirk Casale getting 2 at-bats a month and
Yeah.
Stuart Fairchild down in Louisville. I think that Stuart Fairchild would be up for that, especially as a guy right off the bench. But I was going to ask you, Scott, this is the best point of the show. Jason Vossler was like our power hitter in April.
He was.
He was the starting first baseman on opening day.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
That was this year. That was this season. That was 100 games ago.
Dude, oh my god. Now I've got to go look. Now I got to go back and look. Like,
if you look at the opening day lineup compared to today's lineup, it's wild.
Oh my gosh,
it's insane.
That's insane.
So I was going to ask you about kind of your thoughts on. So the conversation's kind of been going around of. So they have 9 position players that you can play every day, but they have 10 position players who are good enough to play every day.
Yes.
And it's obviously a good thing. The more talent, the better. Do you like this kind of rotation they're doing where like a guy's getting a day off like here and there? Like Joey got the day off today. Yesterday, Ellie got the day off. He did come in later and, of course, score a big run. But I think to keep these young guys fresh is kind of really nice, especially now they're in a playoff race.
Yeah.
Do you like this idea that
I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I love it. Here's the thing. Like if you are any team that is contending or in a contender spot, like you want to have, this is your dream scenario, right? To be able to plug a guy in and play a guy and get quality at bats and not lose anything by subbing a guy down. Like mostly, a lot of years, if Joey Votto was out of the lineup, I mean, we'd be like, oh, why's Joey out? What's going on? Why? Like we'd all be panicked because Joey not in our lineup means that either one, we're not going to score a whole lot of runs, or we're not going to get any production. But we've got so many guys that can produce. I mean, from Friedels to Fraley's to Benson's to Steers to, we got so many guys that can produce on a different day. Like it is an ideal situation to be able to give Ellie a day or give McLean a day or give India a day, especially like I think it's important for when guys are going through like 0 for 7s, 0 for 8s, they need a day. Like I think like when India was struggling and he got a day off, maybe in like the San Francisco series or one of those series in there, like he got a day. The next day he came out with like 2 for 4 or 1 for 4 with an RBI. Like I think guys need those days to reset themselves. I mean, they are human, but they're professionals at what they do, but they're also human. Like they need those days to be able to reset themselves. So to be able to do that and not lose anything in your lineup is huge for a team that's going and trying to make a playoff run.
Yeah, and someone brought up the point earlier. I think it might have been Scott again in the chat talking about. By the way, this team just has I don't know, Nick Senzel, whatever they need to plug him in for a spot.
Yeah,
he can play a ton of positions. I really love everyone knows how big of a fan I am of Senzel, and like I know like everyone makes fun of me for it, and I get it. I would make fun of myself for it too. But look. No one's louder than me when he does something right. When he does something well. And I was that way with Drew. Now Drew's one of my buddies. Like Drew and I shoot the shit every now and again. So, there's my one. Sorry, Chad. But so like, yeah. By the way, oh, hey, we just need to fill in a guy today. How about the former second overall pick in the big leagues? Can you get a couple at bats for us today?
Right.
What?
Hey, man, Jose Barrera was our starting shortstop opening day.
Dude,
What the heck?
He's raking in Louisville.
He's raking in Louisville, and he was our starting.
By the way,
shortstop.
You said it, so.
Just let it shine through. Just let your soul, baby, feeling oh so silky smooth. Just let it shine through. Just let your soul glow.
There was a bunch of like. I saw everyone was like Tim when you said Barrero, so I was like, all right, I got to do it. So.
Oh man.
Oh man. But yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, man, and like he might still.
Yeah.
It's so hard to give up on him because.
Yeah.
Oh man, Scott, if you think you're a bigger Nick Senzel fan than Tim Daniel, I don't know. Chad Dotson, also a big Nick Senzel fan, though. So, Nick Senzel, if you are listening to the show or watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel, you're my guy. Thanks for the home run to get my birthday started.
There you go.
You made the point earlier about Joey, and when it's like when he wasn't in the lineup back in the day, you had to be concerned.
Oh yeah.
What is life like for him now? Because look at the lineups he's played with. It's like, oh, hey, I've got Patrick Keevlahan batting behind me today in the cleanup spot. It's like, oh, who do you have batting behind you at 7th right now? Oh, Tyler Stevenson, Spencer Steer, and Will Benson.
Yeah. I mean,
by the way, I hit 6th in the order, and that's what's behind me.
Yeah. I mean, to him, I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be a dream scenario for him. Like, one, he doesn't have the pressure of being the guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all those years, dude, he had to carry this franchise. All those years of winning MVPs and being an all-star and all those years he had to carry the franchise and apologize for the franchise for the things, the lackluster performances. Like, he was the guy up front, like, hey, we know Reds fans deserve more. We know, like, all those years I had to do that to be here now where you've got young guys that are hungry, that you got young guys in the lineup that protect your at-bats, they protect you in the order, and you got guys behind you that can hit well in the order. For him, it's a dream scenario because he doesn't have to be the guy. Any one of those guys we talked about this earlier, any one of those guys can be the guy on a given night. It doesn't just have to be Joey. So for him, it's got to be like, he's got to be loving his cake and eating it too. You know what I mean? So not only am I happy to be a part of the success of what's going on, I don't have to be the guy for all of that to go on. So for him, it's got to be incredible. He's got to be super excited about all that stuff. So it's got to be cool for him to see.
Scott is now challenging me to a Senzel off.
Oh no!
Oh, you got the jersey in your closet, Scott? So do I. All right. So do I. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, when election season comes up in November and we have to do the election for the president of the Nick Senzel fan club, Scott Ruggiero is going to be my opponent. So we will have the debate here on Late Night Reds because we'll need things to talk about come November, believe me. But yeah, it's I love that we're seeing it. I love that he is getting his love. And
I think we talked about that earlier. Like it was good to see him. We talked about this the last time I was on, I believe. It's good to see him back to being healthy and being the contributor that we know he can be. Like it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, if he's playing for like the A's, he probably needs to be their best player, right?
Yeah.
Here, just fit in.
Just fit in. Do what you got to do to get at bats and just fit in and do what you do.
Yeah. I mean, he's, Barry Bonds against left-handed pitching. It's ridiculous.
Right.
So want to pull this up real quick to quote the quote Mr. Marty Brenneman. How we looking?
Mhm.
This is how things look on both the divisional standings and the National League wild card. So, how big were those Diamondbacks and Giants series to win 4 of 6 in those series? I mean, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
No,
4.
5 of 7. 5 of
5
7.
of 7. 5 of 7.
Yeah, 5-game win streak. Come on, Tim, you got this. Okay, so these are the two teams they played. These are the two teams they had to beat in those series. And they did it, so they now have the top spot in the wild card. So now there's two, forever it was like, well, they got to win the Central. There's no way they can get in the wild card. They got to win the Central. They got to win the Central. That's the only way they get in the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are two ways you can go. Now you have two possibilities because of what they did this week against the Giants and the Diamondbacks. I mean, after the Brewers series, they were 4 games out of the wild card.
Yeah.
So they were able to do something here. And look, I want to win the Central. I'm not going to sit here I'm not going to complain about the wild card. I will never complain about a Reds playoff team ever again after what we did in 2013. I will never. Funny enough, the season ends today. They'll be playing the Brewers in the freaking wild card. But I mean, the first round. But neither here nor there. Scott, that's impressive. Scott, DM me so I can see this stuff because this is dope. He says he's got an autographed rookie jersey and his 75th JRD jersey. That's
Oh, wow.
maybe he's got me beat. Okay.
I was going to say, jeez.
We'll still have the campaign.
Still got to run the campaign.
Chad, I'm going to need some budgeting for marketing for this campaign. But going back, yeah. So this is now there's two different ways you can go to freaking get here, and it's awesome. I want to win the Central. Obviously, the Brewers are the one team they can't get over. Thank God this is the last time they play them. But dude, the Reds compared to the Brewers here gets really, really interesting. The rest of the way as far as strength of schedule. I know the Reds got the Dodgers on Friday, and the weekend series that's going to be interesting. But the Brewers do not have it easy. They just lost 2 or 3 to the Braves this weekend, where they had that game won today, and Atlanta does what Atlanta does.
Man.
But it's pretty fascinating. So I'm really excited that we're at this point now, obviously, and just awesome. So that's what this week did for the team to give them this element. I would love nothing more than Game 1 of the 2023 National League divisional round to be at Great American Ballpark. I would be there, maybe shirtless. I don't know. I know it's October at night on the river, but I don't.
Your shirt would be off, Tim.
Yeah,
that's a guarantee.
Can't confirm. I got to show off. I got to show off this 6-pack I don't have. All right. But yeah, this is awesome, man. And this gets interesting too if you look at I don't think we're going to have anything here where, Marcus Stroman's the guy who's come up for the Reds. Gordon White, who's now the guy for, he's the beat writer for the Reds and for the Assistant Inquirer, used to be the beat writer for the Cubs. And he's got to know a lot of people in Chicago really well. He's basically said there's no chance the Cubs will trade within division. So Marcus Stroman probably not coming to Cincinnati. We know St. Louis, they've already claimed they're going to be sellers. They had that 5-game win streak for a minute there. That was cute. They obviously went ahead and got swept this weekend. So that rules. And then, Brian Reynolds, it's going to be interesting. I know they signed to that contract, but they signed to that contract. And by the way, they're 11.5 games out of first place. And who's the guy they could probably get the most for right now if they want to move on? Probably Brian Reynolds.
Yeah.
No one's jumping at the bit to trade for Andrew McCutchen, folks. I mean, if they put O'Neal Cruz in the market, someone will go for him, but that's not happening. I know he's hurt. He's out for the year, but...
Gosh, remember when people thought Pittsburgh was going to win the division?
Losers. Losers! The same old franchise they always were. They're 20-8. They're going to take over.
They are who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were.
As the late, great Dennis Green would say.
If you want to crown them, then crown their asses, right? Yeah. Dylan Cruz was like, I'm not going there. You kidding me?
Right.
I mean, they did get Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens might pitch for the Pirates, I don't know, in September. Like, he's pretty much better than what they have. Mitch Keller's going to be an interesting trade target for them. Well, they moved Mitch Keller, by the way.
Yeah.
So, brings us to here. So, for the final time in 2023, the Cincinnati Reds are going to go up to old Milwaukee and face the Brewers, and these are your pitching matchups. So, Monday, we've got Doug on the mound going against Colin Ray. And I love that matchup for the Reds, especially the way Grasscraft's pitched the last couple days. Let's go matchups. Tuesday. What is this matchup on Tuesday? Like Andrew Abbott versus Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
That's gonna be another 2-1 kind of game.
Yep.
Hopefully for the Reds, but I don't know. If they can score 2 runs against Andrew Abbott, I'd be blown away. But and then Wednesday you got Ben Lively against Freddie Peralta, which, like I said earlier, Ben Lively looked awesome in that Sunday start against the Brewers before he got pulled for injury. He was great. So this is Corbin Burns' numbers against the Reds this year in 3 starts. 18 innings, 5 earned runs, 26 strikeouts in 3 starts, in 18 innings. That's a strikeout and a half an inning.
Yeah,
and
it's
10
insane.
walks. Mind you, one of those games, he barely made it through 6, too.
Yeah.
That's the wild thing. He's incredible. Thank God, Brandon. You know, Brandon Woodruff, I guess, is still a little bit of ways away. Thank God, for the sake of this year. But
Right.
man, just so I don't know if I'm excited for the series, obviously, because it's, you need these games. You can't get swept. You can't get swept.
No.
You might lose 2 out of 3. That happens. It's the Brewers. This is what
You got to
they
get
do,
one,
people.
though.
You got to get one of these. 2 ideally. 2's ideal. 3's perfect. 3's chef's kiss, obviously.
Yes.
But you got to get one, at least. And so, this is going to be pretty awesome. Scott says, anyone to come to St. Louis for the last series of the year, I'll host. So, Scott, I'm going to Cleveland for the series before that, actually. I'll actually be in Cleveland this week. I feel like I'm having an affair on the Reds Tuesday because they're playing, and I'll be at a Guardians-Royals game.
Oh.
So I told Grace's family, I was like, look, I'll happily go to the game, and I really appreciate it. I was like, but I will be watching the Reds on my phone.
Yeah.
While I'm watching the Guardians game, because of course I want to see Jose Ramirez hit tanks.
Right.
But I can't right now.
You got a job to do.
Yeah.
Reds are playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Riverfront. Yeah,
Right.
Rock Night.
Right.
Oh man. So perfect. Ben, this is so fun, man. I always love when you're on the show. Everyone, all the listeners, all the people in the chat love when you're on the show. They love having you come hang out with us.
Awesome.
Chad is ready to hire you for Sunday nights with me. So I think we can make that happen. Everyone who stopped by to wish me a happy birthday and hang out. This was really cool. I've talked about this a million times. I know everyone's probably sick of hearing it. I love nothing more than Sunday nights at 9:00, knowing I'm going to be here talking about the team I love the most. I used to go to games with my dad, with all of you. Like, it's my favorite thing. I look forward to it every week. So this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you all. Let's go beat the Brewers.
Hey,
we'll drink to that, right?
Let's beat the Brewers. That's M's down right now. Let's beat the Brewers. Let's get it.
I love it. Everyone, enjoy your week. We'll be back next Sunday with should I say it? I've got a guest. It's a fun guest.
Oh.
Whatever. I've had a couple bourbons. I'll tell you guys. Jumbo Diaz is joining me next Sunday night.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. Jumbo Diaz is going to come hang out with us next Sunday night. So if you guys want to come catch up with old friend Jumbito, we're gonna chat it up.
There it is.
Yeah. So hopefully he doesn't cancel on me now that I advertised it. But yeah, Jumbo Diaz will be here next Sunday at 9:00 with me. So
come through, Jumbo.
Yeah. Everyone, have a good night. Go Reds. Enjoy the week. I'll talk to you guys then.
Beat the Brewers.
Beat the Brewers.